Okay, let's talk a little bit about pitching. And the way that you should think about pitching is really there's two kinds of pitches in business development. There's the speculative pitch, and basically this is when you're exploring a new type of relationship. So you're out there, you're not necessarily sure of exactly how a relationship is going to look with a potential partner, but you have a general hypothesis and you're trying to figure out whether this is realistically possible. And then you have the productized pitch. And this is a little bit later in the stage of a biz dev relationship cycle. Basically, what you're offering is defined. You've done this type of deal before, and you're just trying to replicate it over and over with everyone that it makes sense for. So, which type of pitch is appropriate for you? Well, it depends upon where you are in the life cycle of your business and business development efforts. Questions you should ask yourself are, is your offering or this type of relationship productized? Is this a new type of deal? Do you have any leverage or street cred? If the relationship's productized, that's a productized pitch. If it's a new type of deal, you're probably looking at a speculative pitch. And if you have a ton of leverage, then maybe that speculative pitch is a little bit easier to turn into a productized pitch eventually. Now, we're going to go over how to construct both and the important things to know, but I just wanted to bring these facts up so that you kind of had a framework to understand how you might want to be crafting your pitch and thinking about pitching. One important thing to bring up is a major goal of business development is essentially to productize a pitch. So you want to create a relationship that drives growth and then replicate that relationship over and over for every single potential partner that it makes sense for. And again, this is called productizing a relationship. And typically it's taking that speculative pitch, so the uncertain relationship that you have a hypothesis around, actualizing it, and then turning that into something that can be replicated over and over again. And this is often where a junior person comes in and scales it, is when the relationship is defined, it's been productized, and we'll call that BD, product market fit, and it's time to scale it. And you want to bring on somebody junior to basically just replicate that over and over again. So let's talk a little bit more about the speculative pitch. This is often appropriate for first deals, for your startup or your company, a new type of relationship for your startup or company, or even extending a relationship into a new vertical or market. And what happens in these instances is, in many cases, you're approaching somebody with a bit more leverage. And we'll talk about how to circumvent this a little bit later so you get the terms that you want, but that's just a dynamic that you should be aware of. Now, it's important to understand the dynamic at play when you're going in for a speculative pitch. You're coming to the table with an ideal relationship in mind when approaching a partner, but you might have limited data and proof points that this is worthwhile. And you might even be unclear about what's important to the other party, which makes positioning your ideal relationship perfectly a little bit difficult. So before you can build a case study to demonstrate those bottom line results that are going to make partners more likely to work with you, you need to get buy-in, which means convincing somebody that you possess the best solution to their problems in the context of a mutually beneficial relationship. So let's just go ahead and talk about a little bit of a balance that's at play here. Again, you don't necessarily know what this person wants. You don't have data and proof points to make this person feel really good that this is going to really move the needle for them. So there is a little bit of balance in terms of the amount of leverage that you have, especially when these deals are with bigger companies. What's going to typically happen here is you're going to push for your ideal relationship, but because you don't have all of these things, like the data and proof points, like the leverage of that additional existing partners provide, you might have to bend slightly to get this person to take that initial shot on you. So let's talk about the actual formula to make this happen. The first meeting, again, because you don't necessarily know what's important in this person and how to best position this, it's about information gathering and building rapport. So you want to ask this person questions and figure out what's important to them. Once you have those answers about what's important to them, then you're going to go back and re-architect your positioning in order to make this relationship in perfect alignment with what's important to them. And we can call this the perfect pitch. You want to go in there with more or less a pitch that is almost speaks exactly to whatever is important to them within the context of your ideal deal. Now, I mentioned the rapport building because generally people and their desire to do things for you is directly related to how much they like you. And this is one of the things we discuss in Beating Mindset. So if you can build a rapport with this person, become friends with them, make them like you, they're going to be more likely to stick their neck out for you and ultimately take a chance on doing a deal with your startup. So things you can do in the rapport building process is, again, make sure to ask questions about their personal lives, get to know them outside the context of the deal. And when you ask these questions, record the details, right? The notes you should be taking shouldn't just be on the context of the deal. They should also be on the individual you're dealing with. And if this person likes running, or if they are a big Eagles fan or a fly fisherman or whatever it is, make sure to surface these instances up in your conversation and try to add value and give attention to them when appropriate outside of just the context of the deal. And these type of rapport building exercises will ultimately bear fruits when it's time to have this person do something for you that might be a little uncomfortable, and this relationship might nudge their ability or propensity to do that when that time comes.